Hello, my name is Mitch and I draw Blood Force, and the subject of today's video is a live stream that I did on Sunday, March 12th. Something I want to try and do once a month. But before we get into it, just going to pay some bills real quick. We'll be back in a second. So every video I start off by saying, hello, my name is Mitch and I draw Blood Force. You probably just heard it. And in case you weren't sure, this is Blood Force. Blood Force is a comic book I'm creating. It is a celebration slash send-up of 90s extreme comics. And the first issue is complete. We're just kind of in limbo while I get the funds together for publication. And if you'd like to speed up that process, what you do, you go to the link in the description that will take you to my Patreon. Subscribe there because I need your help in order to get this thing over the finish line. And warm fuzzies from helping a comic creator are not all you get by subscribing to my Patreon. You also get access to the entire Blood Force library, which is growing by the week, as well as all these videos and some exclusive content. So subscribe today, and soon we'll all get the Blood Force comics we've been waiting for. Thanks very much for listening. Now we'll get back to your regularly scheduled video about speed lines and shit. All right, so that should be it, and we're back now. So yeah, these live streams have been kind of fun, and we've had a couple in the past. It started out by doing the cover for Blood Force #1, and then after that did Superman versus Doomsday. And both of those turned out to be some of the best stuff I've done, actually. So we were hoping to kind of carry that over on this one here. And what I'm doing right now, this is just a quick warm-up. Figured I'd do some Warblade. Why not? And I mean, good reason is this kind of looks like shit. But that's okay, because it didn't end up being anything I'm using. So yeah, I had a couple ideas for what I wanted to do on this. You'll see over on the left here, there's some copies of covers for Giant Size X-Men #1 and that Wildcats promo that never got used as a cover that, in my opinion, should have been. And thought, oh, maybe I'll use those and draw Blood Force in. That might be cool. And it's like, might be. But then kind of last second came up with the idea of doing a Wolverine versus Sabretooth drawing. And just kind of maybe amp the blood up a little bit. And it's like, that's not a bad idea. So figured we'd try that. And, I mean, if I'm usually here for hours on these things. The first one was the cover, and that took me over 5 hours from what I recall. I'm just sitting on the live stream the whole time. So, I mean, if you get like 20 minutes into it and it's like, no, this looks like shit. Well, I mean, start over. You're going to be here for a few hours. Why not? Most people don't stick around for the whole thing. They just kind of drop in and out. So it should be no problem. And, of course, this is on a sunny day, and I do this in the morning. So I get this shit shining in on my page here. It does go away shortly. Give it 2 or 3 minutes. Maybe 5. It does make it a little tougher to see this blue line stuff. So we're going to do just kind of a shot of, if you look up Wolverine versus Sabretooth, one of those, where they're just like, clawing at each other at the same time. Everybody knows what a Wolverine versus Sabretooth shot should look like. Man, that really got bright in there, didn't it? Oh well, so there we go. Now we'll be able to see what's going on a little bit more. And we're going to make this, like I said, a little nastier than you usually see, or than I usually see in these kinds of drawings. So I'm sure that, there's been some pretty bloody Wolverine versus Sabretooth fights by now. I just never saw them before in the 90s, in the PG era. That's probably about what that would be. Before Marvel Knights even came along. We all remember that treasure. So yeah, we're going to start out with Sabretooth clawing out Wolverine's eye. Because it's my contention that these fights probably get very, very bloody. They should. Again, this is, let's delve into the logic of a Sabretooth versus Wolverine fight, right? But they've both got claws and they both got healing factors. And So you figure, like, yeah, no, they just be slicing each other to ribbons and healing back up, slice each other some more. So at various points, they would be theoretically, you know, healing from like 7 different wounds. Oh yeah, we're trying to find out how the hell to draw Wolverine's booties from profile there. Yeah, but yeah. So they should be healing from a bunch of different wounds and bleeding from a bunch of different from other ones. I was gonna draw like Wolverine with his guts hanging out, but decided it didn't work too well with the composition. Not that I know a shit about composition, but you know, I just thought that yeah, it would kind of break up the movement we had going on. That's a total guess. You know what? If I'd kept this in that leg there, I think it would have been fine because that kind of halts the movement anyway. You should be twisting it the other way. I do figure it out though. And you may notice that these are not costumes that are currently in use as far as I understand it. I believe the Sabretooth would be considered the current Sabretooth costume is probably the one that Jim Lee came up with back in 91 with the Gambit headgear, and I've never been a fan of that look. I've always preferred the orange deal that makes him look a bit like a fancy wrestler. And Wolverine, we're going with the 80s look with the brown and yellow. Just because again, that's the Wolverine I think of. I got no particular problem with the yellow and blue. There we go. There, I figured out that leg. Much better. I want to get as much movement and tension as you can in these things, from what I understand. But yeah, I got no particular problem with the brown and no, the blue and yellow. I mean, it did get reintroduced right around when I was reading the comics, and I mean, I got into the comics via Marvel Series 1 trading cards, and in those cards there is a yellow and blue version of the costume. Wolverine gets 3 cards. I think that was my first indication that Wolverine was an important character. But you get what I'm pretty sure. I don't have the cards anymore. I'm pretty sure it's a Jim Lee drawing though. The yellow and blue costume. You also get the brown and yellow, or yeah, brown and yellow. So they had equal importance, but I just like the brown and yellow better. And I mean, it was the costume in X-Men #1. That gives it some extra cachet. And so I completely missed the bit where my nose was sticking into the frame here, wasn't it? That's okay. I'm going to go back and cover that up so you probably... it was probably seamless in the edit. You wouldn't notice a thing. But I really dug the way Sabretooth's face came out here. That was very encouraging. So maybe like it's a bit more cartoony maybe than I was intending. But like it totally like I'm totally down. This is almost a little that face is almost a little Madureira-ish. Madureira? One of those. Which is nothing like my usual style. Really. But yeah, no, I've got no problem with that. And I like this the proportions on Sabretooth here as well, where he's big and muscly, but not bulky. Because he shouldn't be. He should be like lithe, like agile. If anything, I feel like Wolverine should appear to be bulkier than Sabretooth. Like he should be more compact. This hand turned out okay, although that, you know, the finger on the side there, it's not quite right. So just going to black it in, and that actually ended up looking quite a bit better. And be careful not to completely black it in, because I've done that before where you mess up a drawing that way. No, I think that looks pretty good. And the motion of this torso just felt awesome. Yeah, I don't know, you can really get the twist in there. Yeah, and I was not messing around with those claws. Not going to freehand them. And as you can see here, Wolverine has torn out Sabretooth's throat. At the same time that Sabretooth is shredding Wolverine's eyeball. And now we get down to the meat of the picture, because if you fuck up Wolverine's face, then the whole thing went for nothing. But so far, everything has gone exceptionally well, like far better than I expected. And I even managed to get like a little bit of a grin on Sabretooth's expression there, because he enjoys this shit, from what I remember from the 90s comics. I assume that's still the case. And doing the thing where they black in like a plate almost on Wolverine's face. And man, does that look good here. And yeah, this is easily the best Wolverine face I've ever drawn. Like, all of this looks great. The leg here, I mean, you can probably tell here that the right leg on Wolverine doesn't look quite right. It's a bit too small. Part of that is the angle, but part of that is that, yeah, it did turn out a little bit small. But, I mean, that's all right. It's not anywhere near the focus. Everything else pretty much turned out great. So I'm not going to bitch about it. Yeah, this twist here is pretty great. And these shadows here, yeah, I'm getting more on feel than anything. Just like what feels like it might be about right. And it's all pretty much working. Yeah. Get in Sabretooth's left hand there before I forget. And one of his fingers got broken there, by the looks of it. But yeah, no, I'll fix it. I don't think this is quite the pose I would do again. I think I'd put that hand in profile, but that's okay. It ends up working fine. Like, well enough. And, you know, it's just lesson learned. So, getting a lot of those. And trying to remember to include some damage on these guys. That's always tough for me. But I can get more of that. If you were here for the Blood Force #1 cover, I think I raved a bit about Shockblock's shoulder, about how that turned out. Got a little bit of that going on in Wolverine's here too. And maybe it's becoming closer to something I can reproduce more often. Hopefully. Because I love the way that looks. Just that slab of beef looking thing. And got the neck stretchies in there very well. That's one of the better examples I've been able to come up with. This looks all right, but because it's all dark, it's all blacked in, it's a little tough to tell exactly which way his torso is pointed. And you can probably tell here I'm losing track a little bit of where the abs are supposed to be and what's supposed to be obliques. But the end result, I mean, it looks nice actually. It looks pretty good. It is a little bit obscure though. Exactly which way he's pointed. I think it's all right. And this left leg got a little overzealous with the shadows, but I'll fix that up in a second. And yeah, there's the ass of Wolverine. There we go. Looks good. There's a bicep here. I like the shape of that. Don't want to do the huge biceps. That's not the kind of 90s artist I am. Yeah, a little bit more battle damage. Looks good. We're going to do that leg before we do the hand. I did put off the hand a little bit just because the hand from this angle is... That's pretty tough. Yeah, so I'm trying to make it clear that this is the left leg from behind. I'm not 100% sure that it is, but I think it's reasonably, like if you wanted to, like, is that it? You'd probably be like convinced that, yeah, that probably is the left leg. All right, do the hand. Stop messing around. There we go. And I had a guy in the chat saying that should be stretching these claws out more. The claws I was doing were too small. I was like, okay, I got no problem with that. I think if I had done it with the claws the size that I did them, yeah, he would have been completely right. Those were too short. These are maybe a bit long, too long, but that's okay. As long as it looks awesome, mission accomplished. And I think we did manage to get there. And recognize that the claws weren't hooking up properly on the back of his hand, so fix that in a second. And we get to try this angle on a fist again. Although I think we were way more successful on this one. I was rather impressed with how that turned out, actually. Where'd you go? There you are. And even this angle on the forearm was a little bit tough. But, yeah, again, kind of going on feel on where the shadows and the tendons should be. And turned out, again, kind of excellent. Like, way better than I thought it would. Like, that arm, everything about that arm is exactly how I would want it. I would change nothing. Head too. Torso mostly. So, yeah, like, yeah. So we're most of the way through this drawing, really, and everything has gone way better than I expected. And this is the bit where Wolverine's leg looks really skinny. Again, that's largely the angle, but... Gotta have my references at hand. And I'm trying to be convincing that this is his right leg. Yeah. All this stuff, I mean, this isn't going to take very long. A leg in profile, there's not a whole lot of muscle even to show. Not a lot of differentiation of muscle. Anyway. It's not like those obliques that I know what they're called. So is that the figures done? Like, kind of, right? What was I looking for here? Oh, I was just looking for the newer Sabretooth costume to compare. Yeah, no, the figures are pretty much done here now. And we're trying to figure out what to do behind them. Because this turned out great, so now it's the home stretch, like, it's just kind of like, don't fuck it up. And decided to go with forest background, because that's always a good idea with these two. And which is, I would say, a good idea, but it's not something I do a lot of or very well. I don't enjoy drawing forests at all. Like, the part that's inked here, this is the part I like, and then everything else is like, I'd like to hand it off to somebody else. That's probably the case with a lot of artists, though. So, all right, we'll do some trees. I did like this bit here, where I decided that all the trees around these two, we're gonna have hacks taken out of them, just because these guys are throwing haymakers and like hitting everything in sight. I wonder if I should have done some furrows in the ground too. And decided to go in a bit with a brush, just because I need some practice. I don't know that this kind of practice really helps anything. Maybe a little bit. I go in with a pen nib too later on. That didn't help anything. I didn't learn anything from that. And these textures are okay. It looks kind of tree-like, I would say. Yeah, and just do a bit of detail with the pen nib, which looks fine, but it's like you're not learning how to use a nib doing this. You're just kind of making very short, sharp lines. Yeah, it looks okay. It looks like a tree, I guess. I am trying to apply a couple of things in terms of composition here. So this is, I'm trying to establish a frame. And I think I did okay with that, actually. Also, did some overlapping layers to get some depth in the image. Turned it a bit on its side, maybe. A little bit. It's not quite flat. It's at a bit of a Dutch angle, I think. Yeah. No, this is probably one of the more successful drawings I've done. Period. Which is nice. It's good that I prefer it to be now instead of like at the beginning of the channel or whatever, or before the channel. Yeah, make those more visible. Kind of do a bit of cleanup. A little bit more detail here. Very nice. And even the main image with Wolverine and Sabretooth here, I think that's a pretty good composition by itself. It's got a lot of movement to it, but like it's all kind of moving in the same direction. And we're gonna do some minimal backgrounds here, kind of minimal, enough to match the detail in the figures, but not enough to be eye-catching or carpal tunnel inducing. Just do some like palm fronds kind of thing. Yeah, this kind of stuff. Like I got no, I don't know. I think you need like a love for just for drawing to to be good at this kind of stuff. Or I mean, eventually maybe I'll just come up with a decent formula that's doesn't require a lot of thought. Right now, it's just kind of like, eh. Just make it so it doesn't look like shit. I think I managed it here. At least on this one. And yeah, I've got to sub in some grass. Maybe should have done some more. I don't even know what you would do in more. Because this is more jungly, foresty kind of stuff. Maybe should have done more of those bushes or that kind of thing. But kind of went with grass. I don't know. That may have been the wrong way to go. But I mean, honestly, it doesn't really matter because this isn't being used for anything. I'm not publishing this. This is just kind of dicking around. So this is, again, learning lessons. And get the left side of the frame here. Another big tree. And I did kind of like this this texture that came out of this, where it's like twisting and it does feel a little tree barky. Yeah, drawing convincing trees is always tough for me anyway. You see some people and they just like do a line. It's like, yeah, that's a branch. It's like, nah, I believe you. I just don't know how to do that. And yeah, so we're just about done here. Get some more leaf detail, tree trunk detail. All right, finish it up and then you can turn the stream off. And I think all this stuff turns out okay. Like I would redo this. Like I would do the same method again probably. Maybe a little bit different, but I think it looks all right. And again, it's enough detail that it doesn't call attention. Like you're not looking at it going like, ew, you know, like it doesn't distract you from the main image. So it matches the energy of the figures a bit. Doesn't distract, and yeah, it doesn't distract away the other way either by being too much detail, and it's not bad detail. I don't think. And put a little bit of shadow under them to weight them into the world here, which looks okay. Try to flesh it out a bit with the pen nib. Yeah, it still looks okay. And then go at it with the whiteout, and it's like, whoa, that looks way better. Way better. Yeah. So now we have that trick, and added a few more claw marks around on the trees around, a little bit more detail in the trunks, and that should be just about it. No, erase some pencil lines. A little bit of cleaning up. Are we done? I think we're done. Yeah. So that turned out kind of awesome. That's we're 3 for 3 on live stream so far. Each one has been maybe a little better than the last one even. I don't know. So I'm looking forward to the next one, whatever that is. So if you miss one, yeah, don't feel bad. Just check out the next one, and chances are it'll be the best thing I've drawn yet, apparently. But yeah, if you got this far, thanks very much for watching that. If you want to watch more of these, what should you do? Tell you what, if you like this one, what you should do is you should hit like, and then if you want to watch more, you hit subscribe and you hit the notifications. Now I'm back on track. And you can also go over to my Twitter, follow me there. But more importantly, I would go over to my Patreon and subscribe there, because we need more Blood Force subscribers. I'm messing up everything at the end here. It's okay. I'm tired. Need more Blood Force subscribers if we're going to get Blood Force on the shelves, which is the ultimate objective. But thanks again. You guys are awesome, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.